All right, as the nation is in the middle of the Lok Sabha elections, Prime Minister Narendra Modi is all set to go to file his nomination papers from the Varanasi Lok Sabha seat on the 14th of May. And before filing his nomination papers, he will hold a roadshow in his parliamentary constituency on the 13th of May. The voting for the Varanasi Lok Sabha constituency will be held in the 7th phase of the elections on the 1st June. Now, why is Varanasi an important seat? That's the big question. Primarily, Varanasi is PM Modi's constituency that holds immense political significance as one of the 80 Lok Sabha constituencies in Uttar Pradesh. Its electoral dynamics often mirror the broader political trends that are prevalent in the state, making it a focal point of attention for political analysts and observers. Now, as the days pass, Varanasi braces itself for a spirited electoral battle, poised to shape the political trajectory of the region and much beyond. Well, as we slip in this new series of NewsX today, we take a deep dive into the constituency Kashi, the numbers, the demographics and the stats. Let's take a look at all of that, and we'll also be joined by a couple of experts who are going to be with me on this journey. Mr. G.C. Tripathi, former Vice Chancellor of BHU, Mr. Vivek Menon, urban planner, also joins us on the broadcast. Well, in fact, I'm going to go over to the big screen and try and show you what we are dealing with here when it comes to the Kashi report. The Prime Minister is obviously, very passionate about Kashi. He's always been very focused on its development. And where is Kashi? Well, it's in Uttar Pradesh. It's one of the oldest cities, not only in India, but throughout the world as well. It stands for the cultural seat of Hinduism, if we can call it so. This is, in fact, a very popular picture of Kashi that, in fact, is an instant recall. Wherever you see it, and it immediately brings about the word Kashi into your mind. And this is the demographic, what the population looks like. 83.8% of the population comprises Hindus, 14.88% Hindus, Muslims, and 0.21% is comprised of Christians as well. So a healthy balance of a secular kind in the city of Kashi. And we have about 1,962,000 estimated voters who are going to be coming out and choosing who is going to represent them. And in 2009, Murli Manohar Joshi was the candidate from Kashi. He was able to get 42.6% of the vote share. In 2014, it was the Prime Minister who fought from Kashi as well as his own constituency in Gujarat with 58.35%. And again, he won this convincingly by 57%. In fact, the PM's vote margins have also been very, very healthy. In 2014, 58.35% was the margin. And in 2019, it was 57.13% for the Prime Minister, who's always hailed Kashi as his second home. And let's not forget that Kashi also has its own history. In 1984 general election, the winner was Shyam Lal Yadav. The party was the Indian National Congress. The votes that were polled were 153,000, and that was the margin of victory that was enjoyed by the Indian National Congress in UP. But now, of course, it's a very different landscape. It's a very different scenario. In 1989, 5 years after that, it was Anil Shastri of the Janata Dal, and 268,000 votes were polled, and the margin was 171,603. And this is basically taking you back as to make you understand why Kashi has always voted in a different direction, because they've been looking for development. In 1991, it was Shirish Dikshit of the Bharatiya Janata Party, and in 1996, it was Shankar Jaiswal of the Bharatiya Janata Party again, and these were the numbers that were convincingly brought in by him to be the Member of Parliament from this constituency. In 1998 general election, it was Shankar Jaiswal again of the Bharatiya Janata Party with a very loud margin of victory in Varanasi. And once again, Shankar Jaiswal continuing his unfettered ascendance, if we can call it, in this particular constituency. In 2004, it was the Congress that made a comeback with Mr. Rajesh Mishra. Murli Manohar Joshi, a very popular member of the Bharatiya Janata Party, considered one of the founders and bigwigs, of course, came back in 2004. In 2014, it was the Prime Minister who, of course, who changed this number game altogether. If you start looking at the upward trend for the Prime Minister and the voter turnout, it goes on to show you the popularity of the Prime Minister. And 2019 was no different. The numbers, in fact, went even further up. This in fact takes us to a big question. Will 2024 be, in fact, another groundbreaking election for the Prime Minister in terms of the votes that are going to be polled? The Kashi corridor, the Ganga Dwar, this project was initiated by the Prime Minister, worth over rupees 800 crores. A very ambitious project that was also found in the manifesto of the BJP. The Varanasi Junction redevelopment, the project was worth rupees 328 crore. Of course, these are all developmental projects that were initiated by this government. The Varanasi-Kolkata Expressway, one of the most ambitious projects that was undertaken, almost complete. Project is worth the Varanasi Ropeway, another big project, and the Chitrakoot Solar Park, ambitious plan by the government, worth over rupees 40 billion. Plans to, in fact, give electricity to the entire state of Uttar Pradesh and surrounding areas as well. The Ghagra Varanasi Bridge, another project which was a daunting one, missed a number of deadlines, but nevertheless was completed with a cost of 667 crores. The Banas Kashi Sankul Dairy Plant, another important project that the Prime Minister spoke of, was completed with the 475 crores of rupees. The Sultanpur Varanasi section, another infrastructural project, almost 3,000 crores of rupees was spent on this, and of course facilitating the accessibility and networking which is associated with Varanasi. The LPG bottling plant in Varanasi, worth 214 crore rupees, another success that was completed in time. And this obviously goes on to tell you that how serious this government has been in the development work which is associated with Varanasi. The TDP waste of charcoal plant, another successful plant worth over 200 crore rupees. This was in fact executed and completed by this government. And of course, the Prime Minister is going to be looking for re-election on the basis of the successes. Mr. G.C. Tripathi is with us. Mr. Vivek Menon also joins us on the broadcast. Mr. Tripathi, I'll begin with you. I hope you can hear me, sir.
Am I audible?
Yes, sir, you're audible. All right, sir. Well, Kashi has always been a very touchy point for all Hindus and people of faith who believe that, it's not only a city, it's a very important city, a sacred city, a city which represents, not only Hinduism, but it also represents the sensitivities and the sentiments of the voters who have come out in droves to vote for the Prime Minister. What do you think of the development that has cascaded Varanasi in the last few years?
At the very outset, I would like to congratulate NewsX and their team for organizing a meet on such a very relevant and pertinent issue. We all know that our ancestors made their respective bodies their lives, and they tried to realize the mystery and truth behind this creation, and ultimately they succeeded. And that truth and mystery is the basis of our social, political, and economic life. And all missionaries in all ages, when they tried to carry on their message for masses as a whole, they selected Kashi. Maybe the case of Gautam Buddha, Shankaracharya ji, Nanak ji, Kabir, Goswami Tulsidas, etc. And so is the case of our Honorable Prime Minister, Shri Narendra Modi ji. He is also carrying on a message for the masses. And that is the spirit of Indian philosophy and our approach to life. So Kashi is our cultural capital. So Modi ji tried to develop Kashi in almost all fields of life. Maybe the case of education, health, infrastructure, spiritualism, everything. As we can see, now BHU has the biggest trauma center of the country. That is trauma center of 334 beds and a world-class cancer center in BHU. If we go to visualize the situation of infrastructure in Varanasi, we will see that during this period, Kashi developed in the field of infrastructure manifold. You have already mentioned the case of Vishwanath Mandir. We all know that crores and crores of Indian citizens come to have a visit of Bhagwan Vishwanath. But now you can see that Vishwanath Mandir has really become an example for all the centers of spiritualism. Vindhyachal is going to be the same case, Kal Bhairav and Mahakal. So he has demonstrated a case of Varanasi that may become an example for making our cities smart as well as related to our civilization and culture. So people of Varanasi feel that Modi ji also had a vision, and that vision and approach to life, the mission, he wanted to carry on for the masses, and he selected Varanasi. He is going to contest Lok Sabha election third time. And whatever I have seen, people of Varanasi see an image of Malviya ji and other missionaries in Modi ji. So I am sure that Modi ji during next time he will make Kashi a source of spiritualism, culture, civilization, and also an example of a smart city in India.
Right, absolutely. Mr. Menon? Mr. Menon, if you can hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you, yes.
Well, you know, Mr. Tripathi is absolutely spot on. Do you think that the Prime Minister has worked in such a way that, you know, Kashi is now being seen as a model of both heritage and development together?
Well, firstly, let me just go on an ideological line over here. I think the election is today being fought on religious lines and I feel that the mix of politics and religion is obviously not the best of mixes. I think India is a very pluralistic, secular country, and I come from the south of India, from Bangalore, and from the state of Kerala. And I think there are pilgrimages and there are shrines all across India that have a lot of importance to the people of that particular place itself. So, I mean, I'm not disputing the importance of Kashi, but I think there are a lot of places across India that have importance. And I think one of the problems that Narendra Modi has had is his over-focus on, Uttar Pradesh and probably Gujarat. I think, he has been a prime minister for those two states and not for the whole of the country. And I think that's a big problem that we have today. If you look at India and the pluralism that exists within India, all of India needs to improve under a particular regime or under a particular government. And I think we are seeing, sporadic, development in specific areas that hold relevance from a vote bank perspective. And I think if Kashi has developed, it's great. It's well and good. It's a pilgrimage center for all Hindus, and I'm a proud Hindu again over here. But at the same time, I believe in secularism and pluralism. And I'm glad that Kashi has developed, and I'm glad that Uttar Pradesh has developed. But on the same token, I think all of India needs to develop. And I think that's where the larger problem lies. Narendra Modi, initially in his first term, had a focus of developing India across India. He carried on with what the previous governments had done, and the connectivity across India improved. We do have great airports. We do have all of that. But I think what is of concern to me is the whole spiritual angle to this whole thing. I think Hinduism as a religion has survived for the past 3,000 years, and I don't think any one individual can become a harbinger of that particular faith. And I think to all of the Hindus, the 85% Hindus, we've all got to be proud that this is a secular country, because it's because of our secularism and because of our acceptance of all other faiths that India is where it is today. And I sure hope that if he does win, which I'm not going to comment on right now, but if he does win, that he will focus on all of India and ensure that the South also gets its fair share of development, while the rest of India develops. So in a way, when I look at it, I think Kashi, yes, it's a great thing that it's probably developed. There are a lot of projects that have come up over there, and shrines that have been probably resurrected and rehabilitated. But at the same time, I think, keeping the secular fabric of India in mind, one, I think politics should not be mixed with religion. Every Indian citizen has an equal right to our constitution. And so I think we have to focus on an all India initiative. And so I think other parts of India that have been neglected need to improve. And I hope that in this term, whoever comes to power, whether it's the Congress or the BJP, and I think we can't really talk to it right now. Yes, there are various polls that are coming out, but I know that the South is not going their way. Even 5-7 months ago, Karnataka chose to go a different way, because I think the development across India has been in pockets. It's not been across the board, and I think that is worrisome and concerning.
All right, Mr. Menon, I appreciate your candor in this, but we are talking about Kashi, and in fact, there has been a surge of development in Kashi. Of course, a number of areas, according to a number of people, have been found wanting when it comes to development. But of course, the scenarios, with those different places have their own nuances, which we can't get into right now. So let's talk about Kashi and the development that has been done in Kashi in the last 10 years. Before 2014, this is what the Ramgarh Fort on the left looked like. And this is what it looks like right now. Pristine, neat, and absolutely curated. The Vishwanath Gully, a very popular, a very prominent, renowned area in Kashi, was bit disorganized, if we can call it that. It looks more appealing with proper flooring and more organized shops is also the change that we have been able to see in the last 10 years. The development in Kashi, in the Banaras Hindu University, is also visible, palpable to one and all. Of course, the building, the entrance went for a redesign and a repaint, and that of course has brightened up this historical site. The Bharat Kala Bhavan Museum, another prominent fixture in Kashi, also has been done up, and that obviously adds to the value and the work done and the seriousness which has been shown towards this particular edifice. Chunar Fort, a very old relic of a fort which needed repairs urgently, and this is how it was on the left in 2014, and this is how it looks today. The Kashi Vishwanath Temple, of course, in its grandeur and its overall aura in 2014, had a number of rogue buildings in and around it, but the passage and the path for its amplification was cleared, and now it stands in all its glory. The Shashwamedh Ghat, the popular ghat that of course Varanasi is recognized by instantly, has also been cleaned It's been decorated. It goes through a number of maintenance exercises on a regular basis. The Assi Ghat, once again, also finds a lot of resemblance to its older self, but it's cleaner now, and you can see the difference from 2014 to 2024. All right, going back to Mr. Tripathi, Mr. Menon is obviously entitled to his opinion. He said that the Kashi model is commendable. It has done wonders, but it is something which has been done in pockets. Is this perhaps a lesson for other cities in a different number of ways as well? That heritage and culture and development can go hand in hand, but the entire nation needs to focus on this model. And the government of the day also has to make sure that no city which has the same prominence as Kashi does is excluded.
You are absolutely correct. But we will have to make both short-term plans and long-term plans. And everything cannot be completed at one point of time and in one instance. Therefore, Narendra Modi ji selected Kashi as a model, as an example. And as I have already said, in case of infrastructure, in case of education, in case of health, in case of spiritualism, in all the fields of life, he tried to establish examples which can become a model for rest of the cities, rest of the places. So I think she always been a model, an example. So our Prime Minister selected Kashi, and I am sure during a few years, some other things which are in the process of development will take course, and Kashi will become an example. And we will try to develop a model, economic model, social model, as already said by my previous speaker. Religion is different from dharma. Dharma is the way of life. So politics can also not be without dharma. But there should not be politics in dharma. That is true. But if dharma is absent in politics, then politics will lose positivity and, of course, the mission of politics. Therefore, Kashi is becoming a model. We are trying to understand the model of development in case of social life, in case of political, cultural, and also in case of science and technology. We all know that science and technology is important, but science and technology is for society, and society is not for science and technology. And this model has been adopted by Malviya ji. And Modi ji is also trying to develop the same model. We should develop science and technology, but science and technology should be for society. We should not make society for science and technology, which is the case of other countries. So I think there may be suggestions which should be accorded and followed. Who says is not important? Okay. Indian philosophy accepts the model of life which says, let noble thoughts come from all corners of universe. Who says is not important? If even my opponent says something beneficial for society, polity, economy, we should accept it and honor it. So Kashi will become a model for mutual respect, for inclusive life, and also a model of economics, which is for society.
Fair enough, sir. Let me also, in fact, take a reaction from Mr. Menon before we wrap this up. Mr. Menon, do you concur with the point of view, the perspective that Mr. Tripathi has shared, that rather than, looking at Kashi, as a standalone model, or, as something which operated and developed in silos, it should be looked at or looked upon as an inspiration for a number of cities, including a number of cities in South India, which is replete, with cultural heritage?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, I completely agree with him on that front. I mean, I think Kashi today serves as a model, and we need to demonstrate models. At the end of the day, that's the way we learn from, how things can be done differently. But on the same token, I mean, I'm sure most of the people in South India are very familiar with it, but many in the North may not be. But there is the Tirupati Tirumala Devasthanam, right, which is again a temple to Lord Venkateshwara and Lord Vishnu. Now, Tirumala, if you've ever visited it, is a model town that existed close to 20 years ago. If you see the processes that they've put in place and the way they've actually kept that place, it's spick and span, as clean as any city can get. And in fact, when I visited it about 12 years ago, I felt that could be a model for development of all the temples, all of the shrines, mosques, temples, churches, and everything else. So I think there are models that already exist. But my point here is that we need to spread our wings. We need to start looking at all of India. And to tell you the truth, I mean, our heritage goes back to 2000s of years. And we have got, kingdoms that established temples across the country, whether it's the Mauryas on the north, whether it's the Rashtrakutas, whether it's the Pallavas, the Cholas in the south. They've all built amazing temples that can never be replicated by humans today. I hate to say this, but these temples are probably, so beautifully built that it's humanly impossible to build them today. Now, many of them, to tell you the truth, are in disrepair. If we were to spend 1/100th of what was probably spent in Kashi or other places, we could revive these shrines. I mean, there's the Tanjavur temple, the Brihadeshwara temple, and innumerable number of temples in South India, as well as North India, as well as West and East. So I think the model of development needs to move away from the politics of it. Where I see the politics of it is today, Uttar Pradesh has 80 seats. And 80 seats is extremely critical for Narendra Modi to win an election and to win a majority of 272 seats. And so his focus over the past 10 years has been either Uttar Pradesh or Gujarat, and probably a lot more of the north. In fact, so much so that the south is completely neglected. And I think that's where the problem lies. If we were to make Kashi today a model of development for everything that's been done there, whether it's the forts or whether it's the temple or whether it's other temples that have been neglected, if we were to take that model and replicate it across India, every state of India, whether it's Rajasthan, whether it's Punjab, whether it's Karnataka, whether it's Kerala, if we were to replicate that, I think that would then be a very inclusive way of spreading the goodness of religion. And I do say this, religion is important. It's important for us to keep our moral compass. But trying to saffronize India or trying to do something different and focus just on Kashi because it's his constituency doesn't really lend very much credibility to everything.
Appreciate
that's
your
where
thoughts.
I probably prefer a little bit, but I think it's a great model.
Absolutely. Appreciate Mr. Tripathi and Mr. Menon taking out the time and speaking with us. We take a short break here. Be right back.
For more such videos, subscribe to the NewsX YouTube channel, hit the bell icon.